Hey guys, how's it going? We are back for another Saturday episode and we're going to jump right into it. Today's episode is how I would start a garden if I had $0. And these are tips and tricks that I wish that I had known when we first moved to our property and I had $0 to start a garden. So let's get into it. When we first moved onto our property, I had already known about this first tip. This is propagation. And this is one thing that I already had an idea about and I was already doing. And I still do it to this day because I absolutely love it. So propagation is what I did with these coleus right here. So this is a coleus and my grandmother had it on her house and I went down and I took 5 cuttings and these were way too long of cuttings. You can see how long they are, but I wanted them to kind of look really pretty. And my plan is to take cuttings from these cuttings and root them. And really you only need a very small cutting. I could cut just the top of this off and that would suffice as a cutting. But when I first started gardening, I didn't know or understand what propagation was. And at our old place, I used to just take cuttings of things and I'd put them in water and see what grew roots. And the first thing that ever actually grew roots for me was from a flower bouquet that I was given that had coleus in it. And in the flower arrangement, there was roots growing from it and I didn't understand what was happening. And I pulled them out of the flower arrangement and I put them in their own separate thing of water and then I grew the coleus. And I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And so since then I've been obsessed with propagating and it's a great way to get free plants. You can always ask friends, neighbors, you can go propagate plants that are in your garden. I'm sure a lot of people are willing to just give you cuttings of things. And not everything is going to propagate, but a lot of things will propagate. One thing to be mindful of is certain plants do have patents on them. And it's really mostly for big box. They don't want certain things being propagated because companies that own the patent to a plant, this is a whole long story. They own the patent to the plant and they don't want it to be resold until they can make their money back from breeding the plant. So just be careful with propagating plants. Maybe look up if the plant has a patent. Rule of thumb is if it's a super old style plant or a classic plant that it probably doesn't have a propagation patent on it. And so you're probably safe to go. These big companies are really not going to go after the average back home gardener, but it's best to be safe rather than sorry. So I love propagating and I think it's a great way to get free plants for $0. Number 2 is kind of a subcategory of propagating and it's division. And dividing plants is something that I'm terrible about doing in my own garden. It kind of terrifies me because what you have to do is you have to take a plant and you literally have to cut it in half. You rip it into 2. And there's a lot of plants that take to dividing really, really well. And it terrifies me to do that. So I don't do it very often in my garden, although I should. Hostas are a great one to divide. You can divide Japanese anemones. You can divide pothos that I have right here. There's all kinds of things that you can just literally just take them, rip them in half, and then you have 2 plants and you can wait for those to get bigger, then rip those in half, and then you just have an endless supply of this one plant. And so dividing is something that is on my list to do this year for a few plants because one, I either need to get rid of them, they've just grown way too big and they need to be divided, or because I want multiple of something. So I'm going to be dividing plants this year on my garden and it's a free plant that way. The third thing on my list is seeds, and seeds is something that I didn't quite fully understand how expensive some of them can get. When I first started, I would go down to the Dollar Tree and I would buy 4 packs of seeds. And I think they were 25 cents at the end of the season. I'd get 4 of them. It was $1 for 4. And it was a killer deal. But had I known this, this trick is that you can go down to your local library and almost always they will have a little seed bank. And you can get seeds for free from your local library. And that is something that I wish that I had known because I probably would have been able to grow a lot more my first couple years of gardening because I couldn't fathom the idea of spending $5, $6, $7 on a pack of seeds. Where now, gardening has turned full crazy and I'm okay with spending $6, $7 on a pack of seed. You can also ask people for seeds. I am at the point in my seed journey where if anyone asks for seeds, I will gladly give them whatever seeds they want that I have. And also checking out seed swaps. So seed swap sounds like you have to bring seeds and then you can swap them for other seeds. And typically that's not the case. Usually you can go to these seed swaps and they've been donated a ton of seeds because these companies can't sell seeds that were packaged for that year the next year. They have to sell them within that year. And so these companies will usually donate to small little charities and things like that. And then seed swaps can happen where people can come and they can get seeds for free. So check out seed swaps because you can usually get seeds for free. You can definitely show up with seeds if you want, but if you don't have any, it's usually not a requirement. So check out that seed swap, check out your local library, and ask friends for free seeds. The fourth thing that is on my list is Facebook Marketplace, and this was on another video that I did recently, and I think it is such a underutilized tool if you're wanting to learn how to garden for free, because people are constantly giving away free things for their garden. So Facebook Marketplace is a great tool if you're just getting started in your journey and you have $0. I utilized Facebook like there was no tomorrow. So when I first started this, I had found some bricks on Facebook Marketplace and I got those for free because I knew eventually I would want to use them for some kind of project. I still have not used them, but I got them like 4 or 5 years ago at this point. And another thing is that I got a ton of free plants when we first started. I just happened to be super lucky. I was checking Facebook and there was a nursery that was going out of business and they're like, hey, we have all of these plants. If anyone wants them, come get whatever you want. These are the ones that we couldn't sell. They don't look the best, but they're yours if you want them. And so I drove my little happy self down to this nursery and loaded up with what I could fit in the car that still looked decent. And I still, to this day, have some of those plants. And it was such a kickstart and it was so helpful for me to be able to find these plants for free and be able to have a beautiful garden. We transformed our side yard garden from a massive junk pile to having some life in it because I was able to get plants for free. And there are constantly people that have divided plants in their garden or they're taking plants out of their garden, especially in the springtime, that need these things gone. And they posted on Facebook, they're like, hey, free plants. One of my neighbors, she was giving away some bulbs, some amaryllis bulbs, and I went and I grabbed them from her driveway. There was a huge box, and I just grabbed about 6 or 7 of them, and I took what I needed, and I still have them. They're underneath our willow tree. Another thing that I'm constantly finding on Facebook Marketplace is people who do yard sales, and at the end of their yard sale, they're like, hey, we have all of this excess stuff. Come and get whatever you want. It's at the end of the driveway. And I'm constantly seeing photos of rakes, shovels, pruners, all kinds of garden tools that would be so useful for any beginner gardener. So check Facebook Marketplace. I think it is something that a lot of people are sleeping on. You do have to kind of train your algorithm on Facebook Marketplace. Otherwise, it starts showing you some crazy things. I'm constantly searching statuary, garden tools, bricks, plants, and now it just shows me those things. And I'm also searching vintage items. But those are the things that it shows me, and it does take a little bit of training to the algorithm. The next item that's on my list is mulching, and I think that this is so important to do for every single garden, but a way that you can do it for free is you can get it from a program called Chip Drop. And basically what it is a whole bunch of arborists, they sign up for this program, and it makes it so that they can come and they can drop all of their wood chips from a tree down into your driveway, and then it's your problem. And the reason that they do that is because they either have to pay to get rid of it at the landfill, or they can come dispose of it for free in your garden. And it's a great way for them to do it because now they're saving money and you are getting free mulch in your garden. The only downside to having it dropped off is you typically can't control when you put your address in on the website, and you can't control when they're coming, so you might just come home to a giant pile, and you can't control how much. So if their semi-truck is loaded, they will come drop off the entire semi-truck full of wood chips in your driveway, and then it is your responsibility. Use what you can use, and then you can always post on Facebook Marketplace and try to get rid of what you don't use. And I'm seeing it all the time. And if you're having an issue with the chip drop company, then you can also start contacting some local arborists and be like, hey, if you guys ever have a half load of chips that you need to get dropped, I would love to take them. Here's my address. And I'm telling you right now, these arborists have to pay to get rid of them. And so a lot of times they would love to just drop them in your yard because then it's saving them some money. Next item that's on my list is raised beds, and raised beds can be so expensive, but they do not have to be. When we first moved here, I wanted a raised bed, and I wanted it to be so beautiful and so lush, and that just was not the case. We bought the house, and it needed a lot of work. And so I decided to use some old fence boards that we had. I used old fence boards. I found some other random 2x4s. I literally just scrounged the property and I made a square raised bed because that is all that I could do. And I used all recycled material from my own garden. We had a fence that had fallen over, so I used those fence boards. And then I went and I filled the raised bed up with some twigs, some grass clippings, some random junk from the garden, all kinds of debris, some leaves, everything that I could find that was organic matter I put in the bottom of this bed. Then I went and I got the cheapest soil that I could get. I think it was $3 a bale at the time. It was basically wood chips. Spread that on top of it. I think I did 3 bales of wood chips, and then I went and I bought 1 bag of decent soil. I think it was like $9. And I was like, oh man, this is already breaking the bank. This is already a big spend project. But I got the best vegetables out of it. And so the project cost me absolutely nothing. And with that though, you can make your beds for free. And I want to let you know too that a lot of local communities, their cities will have an opportunity for you to pick up compost for free in the springtime. And so keep an eye out on that, because your cities should have a program where you can pick up compost and things like that, and you can get it for free. And then you don't even have to spend money like I sense. So you should be able to build your raised beds out of fence boards. And if you don't have fence boards from a fence that's falling down, Facebook Marketplace, I'm telling you, for free. People want to get rid of them. And then you talk to your local city and see if they're doing a soil or a manure or anything like that type of day, a compost day. And you can pick up usually like, I think a yard of it is what you can pick up or something like that. It's an insane amount of soil that they give away for free. And the last thing that I wish that I had done was join a garden club. I wish that I had joined a garden club because it would have saved me time, money, and energy in my own garden. And I also probably would have made a lot more friends that really enjoy talking about gardening. I also probably wouldn't have a YouTube channel because nobody wants to hear me talk about gardening in my real life anymore. If I had joined a gardening club, I would have saved money on seeds because I'm sure that they would have wanted to share. People would have shared advice. People would have shared tips. They're typically free to join. Some of them I have seen where they have a fee to get in, but there are plenty that are free. And so I highly recommend joining a gardening club because the knowledge that you will get if you're just starting out gardening is so huge. So join your garden clubs, use Facebook, do things for free. You don't have to spend $1 million to have a beautiful garden. And this is my list of $0 garden hacks, and I hope that you enjoyed it. So thank you guys for visiting our garden, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye guys.